Right now, what we're seeing is truly historic for people who own both XRP and Ethereum. The crypto market is changing in a way that could lead to one of the biggest changes in value this decade. Ether is getting a lot of attention right now, and the rest of the altcoin market, especially XRP, tends to not only follow suit, but really take off. You're about to learn why this is such an important time and how what's happening with ETH could directly cause the biggest XRP climb we've seen so far. This isn't advice about money. A lot of money is coming into Ethereum right now, and if you've been in this market for a while, you know what will happen next. The big investors, or whales, ride the wave of ETH until it hits their gold. Then they put their money into the next big thing. At that point, there is complete chaos in the altcoin space. The reason I'm showing you this movie today is that there are signs that we are very close to that breaking point. Let's go back to Ethereum. It was only last week that ETH broke through $4,000. Right now, it's around $4,200. The $4,000 price goal that Tom Lee set earlier this year was wiped out completely. ETH has had a great run, but XRP has been slowly cooling off, pulling back just enough to get ready for its next leg up. What this shows isn't a sign of weakness. It's just a normal fix that needs to happen before momentum builds again. Tom Lee's point of view is interesting here. He said that ETH's price doesn't always follow its fair value in the short term. There are traders aiming for exit levels, pair trades, and short-term bets against ETH, all of which make the market even more volatile. But here's what you should remember. Lee thinks that ETH is having its 2017 Bitcoin moment right now since Wall Street is finally fully behind it. What does that have to do with XRP? Because this is the exact same setup we saw in December. When ETH hits a key high, institutional capital starts to take profits. The next wave of money then moves into other top-tier altcoins. XRP is the first thing in line. It's very possible that a huge amount of money will flood into XRP if ETH hits its peak, which is likely to happen within the next 30 days. It's not a guess that this trend will happen again. It has, and it does so quickly. The money doesn't trickle when the tide changes. It swells. We've seen it happen before, and the way things are now is eerily familiar. The story doesn't end with the price of ETH, though. Tom Lee then talked about how staking and managing the treasury are very important from a strategic point of view in Ethereum's environment. He said that the rate of ETH growth is like what MicroStrategy has done with Bitcoin. In just 5 years, MicroStrategy got 3.2% of all the Bitcoin that was in circulation. Imagine that something like BitMine did the same thing for ETH, but 12 times faster. That's exactly what's going on. And it's all taking place in a way that is completely legal, which Wall Street loves. Why? Because Wall Street wants their dealings with ETH to be done in a way that is clear, legal, and in line with US rules. Lee also said that ETH isn't just another cryptocurrency. It's set to become the main blockchain for tokenizing stocks, money markets, and other real-world assets. That's why so many organizations are there, but this is where things turn around. The tech behind Ethereum is good, but it's not the best. You can't get the most done on it, it's not the cheapest, and it's not even the fastest. Technologies like XRP's ledger are very efficient, allow for almost instant payment, and have very low fees. These are necessary for wide adoption and can't be skipped. For Wall Street right now, Ethereum is the new hot thing. People are putting money into it because it has a well-known name and is seen as a safe bet in the crypto space. But prices change over time. Capital starts to look for better tech once the hype dies down and the real performance measures are put next to each other. Because XRP transactions are faster, cheaper, and can be scaled up, it is the next step that banks should take when they start reallocating. The best part is now here. The redistribution could happen faster if the XRP spot ETF is approved. If these ETFs do come out in September as planned, small investors may be the first to buy them. This will create a demand spike that banks can't ignore. That's when things start to snowball. The cycle feeds on itself as liquidity grows and price movement goes through the roof. Ethereum will always play a part, but it's not the final blockchain. It's the staging area right now. The smart money will be looking at assets like XRP that can support a global financial system in real time, while Wall Street is busy setting up shop. What is happening now is not a coincidence. The way the market works has been seen many times before. Liquidity gathers, peaks, and then spins around. Today, when that shift takes place, XRP won't just get some spillover. You can be sure it will be the main goal. Lee also said that ETH treasury companies are important assets and not just investments that don't do anything. These are units that earn staking yields while also supporting the network structure. But that doesn't change the fact that XRP's ledger works better for some types of high-volume, low-cost global trades that ETH can't do as well. And once schools figure that out, they'll want to be seen. Not in a few years, but right now. That's why the next 30 days are so important. As ETH prices rise, we get closer to the point where it starts to fall. The capital shift could be one of the fastest and most violent we've seen in crypto history when it happens. I could keep going into more detail about Tom Lee's ideas, but this is what you should really remember. The fact that ETH is so popular right now is making XRP's launchpad ready. It's going to happen again because everything is in place for it to happen. This time, though, the risks are much higher, the scale is bigger, and there are more players. This is where things get really interesting for people who own XRP. At the moment, Tom Lee's description of Ethereum as the blockchain that is legal and good for Wall Street is spot on. Schools that are buying a lot of ETH today are not just doing it because they see it. This is the same group of firms that rebalance quickly after Bitcoin's big runs in the past, and they will do it again. Once they've gotten the most upside out of Ethereum, they'll quickly move on to the next best asset with the biggest uneven upside. That's when XRP will be the center of attention. Take a moment to think about that. A lot of money from Wall Street, hedge funds, and national wealth funds is coming in. These people don't come in small. They get hits that make markets move as a whole. Putting that much capital together with how well the XRP ledger works creates the best conditions for prices to go through the roof. As Tom Lee told us, we saw signs of this back in December. After reaching its peak, ETH cooled down, and all of a sudden, XRP shot up as more money poured into it. In this case, the cycle has a turbocharger. There are a lot more people who are ready to trade in crypto, more ETFs that can be used, and more infrastructure that is compliant. Don't forget that the acceptance of an XRP spot ETF could be the spark that sets this whole thing on fire. When regular people see that number in their brokerage accounts, the money will start coming in right away. Regardless of what the news is, they will begin right away. When institutions see that number, they'll think it means demand is rising, which will speed up their entry. That's how a snowball becomes a big snowdrift. Ethereum will still have its tokenization and staking plays, but it will be hard for ETH to keep beating the market once investors start looking for the world's best payment layer. That's where XRP really shines. It doesn't need to be sold to people because it already does in seconds what other chains need minutes or hours to fix. In addition, Tom Lee said that the ETH bank does more than just store coins. They are putting together banking systems. It's true, but XRP is better because it was designed to be used for fast, cheap payments around the world. The book isn't trying to be all things to all people. It only wants to be the best at one thing, transferring value without any problems. That's the kind of expertise that works best in a global payments market worth trillions of dollars. XRP has an even bigger advantage when you consider that financial markets are looking for yield. ETH staking returns are good right now, but as more ETH is staked, they may get smaller over time. XRP, on the other hand, can be used by institutions for things like cross-border settlements and liquidity provisioning, which can create yield-like income streams that ETH can't do without adding layer 2 complexity. In this world, XRP ETFs are released at the same time that institutional infrastructure grows and ETH's price rise slows. That setup for the rotation is great. It's already being planned out by the biggest funds and market makers you can bet. This is the truth. These moves happen quickly. Most investors already know they've made a lot of money by the time they see the shift. Also, we need to be aware of how quickly opinions can change. In the past, it took months for money to move from one big asset to another. With on-chain analytics, social opinion tracking, and global trading 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that migration can happen in days or even hours. This is why the term "a switch will be flipped" hits home so deeply with people who own XRP. When the story changes, it won't happen slowly, it will happen all at once, and the players who move first will benefit the most. Tom Lee may not have said it directly, but it's clear from everything he said that the race to be the leader on compatible blockchains is just getting started. Even though Ethereum had an early edge, it can still be overtaken by other cryptocurrencies. Market history, from tech to banking, shows that new technologies often take the lead in the beginning. And the basics of XRP are just what's needed for the next big step forward. The passageways of liquidity. Ripple has been getting stronger. The connection to banks and other business institutions, how well the record can be scaled, all of these are set up to make money off of that wave of new money when ETFs run slows down. It looks like Ethereum will reach its peak. A lot of money will come into XRP. ETFs will let a lot of regular people get in, and institutional demand will stay put for a long time. That's not just a dream. This is the same trend we've seen in different markets, but the speed and openness of crypto make it stronger. In the end, Every day that ETH goes up, the time you have to move before this rotation starts gets smaller. We are getting closer to the shift with each percentage point that ETH goes up. And when that shift takes place, XRP is going to be one of the biggest winners. As soon as that shift starts, no one will have time to catch up.